You are exhausted. Not the kind of exhausted that a good night's sleep can fix, but a deep, bone-weary, soul-crushing exhaustion. It comes from carrying the invisible, suffocating weight of everyone else's expectations. You say yes when your entire body is screaming no. You bite your tongue to keep the peace. You twist yourself into unrecognizable knots, trying to be the perfect friend, the ideal employee, the dutiful child. You are convinced that if you just keep everyone around you happy, if you just smooth over every conflict before it starts, you'll finally feel safe. You believe that being useful is the same thing as being loved, but you don't feel safe, do you? You just feel trapped, resentful, hollowed out. You wake up every morning already exhausted by the performance you have to put on. You are living a life completely dictated by the paralyzing fear of being disliked. You are operating under the delusion that your worth is measured by your capacity to suffer for the convenience of others, and it is slowly killing you. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is the ultimate team player. At work, she is the one who stays late, covering shifts for colleagues who constantly, shamelessly take advantage of her. At home, she sacrifices her weekends running endless errands for family members who never even offer a simple thank you. When her friends want to go to a restaurant she hates, she fakes a smile, suppresses her own preferences, and orders a side salad she doesn't want. Sarah genuinely thinks she's being selfless. She believes she's building strong, unshakable relationships by being endlessly accommodating. But the reality is far uglier and far more tragic. Sarah is silently suffocating in a prison of her own resentment. Her friends don't actually know the real her. They just know the agreeable, frictionless mirror she holds up to them. Her family doesn't respect her. They just use her as an emotional and logistical dumping ground. And worst of all, Sarah doesn't even know what she wants anymore. If you asked her what her dream day looked like, what she actually desired out of life, she would stare at you blankly. Her entire identity has been slowly, systematically eroded by a lifetime of trying to be a shapeshifter, morphing into whatever the current room requires her to be. She has written herself entirely out of the script of her own life. She is a background character in her own movie, standing in the shadows, waiting for someone to give her permission to exist. And the tragic irony, the people she sacrifices everything for don't even appreciate it, because they don't value something they can get for free. Here is the bitter pill you need to swallow today. It is the only cure for this disease to please, and it comes from Adlerian psychology, brilliantly laid out in the book, The Courage to be Disliked. It all boils down to one brutal, liberating truth. All of your interpersonal relationship problems are caused by intruding on other people's tasks, or letting them intrude on yours. What does that mean? It's called the separation of tasks. It means you have your tasks, and other people have theirs. A task is defined by one simple metric: who ultimately receives the end result, brought about by the choice that is made. Think about it. You choosing to pursue a creative career you actually care about. That's your task. Your parents being disappointed that you aren't a doctor, a lawyer, or a corporate drone. That is their task. It is entirely their problem. It is not your job to manage their disappointment. It is not your job to bend reality to soothe their feelings. When you constantly try to preempt someone else's negative reaction, you think you are being kind. You think you are being empathetic. You aren't. You are actually robbing them of their own task. You are trying to control an outcome that belongs entirely to them. You are acting out of a deep-seated arrogance, assuming they cannot handle their own emotions. And worse, you are manipulating them by altering your behavior to dictate their response. It's a twisted form of control disguised as submissiveness. Freedom, true, untethered, radical freedom, only begins the exact moment you draw a hard line in the sand and say, "This is my task, and that is yours." To be free, you must have the courage to be disliked. Let that sink in. The courage to be disliked. Because if no one dislikes you, it means you aren't living freely. It means you are living a lie, carefully curated and aggressively filtered to appease the masses. It means you are trading your authenticity for a cheap, fragile illusion of harmony. Real freedom means recognizing that someone else's poor opinion of you is their task to deal with, not yours to fix. The desire for recognition makes you unfree. It turns you into a puppet on a string, dancing whenever anyone pulls the lever of disapproval. To cut the strings, you must accept the possibility, the probability, that people will not understand you, that they will be let down, and that they will be angry. So how do you actually stop being Sarah? How do you sever these invisible chains right now, today, without apologizing for it? It requires ruthless action. You don't think your way out of this. You act your way out. Step 1. Drop the immediate yes. You are addicted to the validation of agreement. You say yes before your brain even has time to process the request. It's a trauma response. Break the circuit. Starting today, whenever anyone asks you for anything, a favor, a commitment, a piece of your time, your default mandatory answer is, let me check my schedule and get back to you. Never agree in the moment. Buy yourself the space to figure out if you actually want to do it, or if you are just terrified of the awkwardness of saying no. If it's the latter, the answer has to be no. Protect your time like it is the most valuable asset you have, because it is. Step 2. Practice micro-disappointments. You don't need to burn your entire life to the ground overnight. You need to build your tolerance for conflict. Start small. Disappoint someone on purpose today in a low-stakes scenario. Send your food back at the restaurant if it's cold. Tell a friend you can't hang out tonight because you simply want to stay home. Stare at the ceiling and do nothing. Offer no elaborate excuses. Just say no. Watch their reaction, but more importantly, watch your own internal reaction. Notice the panic spike, and then notice how the world doesn't actually end. Notice how the sky doesn't fall just because someone is mildly annoyed with you. You have to actively build the psychological muscle of tolerating other people's displeasure. Step 3. Aggressively isolate the task. The next time you feel that familiar, suffocating dread about a confrontation, a boundary, or a major life decision, stop and ask yourself one simple question. Whose task is this? If you want to quit a toxic, soul-sucking job but you're worried about inconveniencing your manager, whose task is the company's staffing and operation? That's right, it's the manager's task. Leave it at their door and walk away. If you need to break up with someone but you are afraid of breaking their heart, whose task is their emotional recovery? It is theirs. Stop carrying baggage that doesn't have your name on it. Drop the weight. You have one life. It is terrifyingly short, deeply fragile, and entirely yours. You can spend it carefully navigating the fragile egos of everyone around you, slowly dying 1,000 deaths of compromise, or you can finally start living for yourself. Whose life are you going to live today?